Finally, the reunion, a time to remember and celebrate. It's been 17 long, sometimes painful years, but it would be at this reunion where the hearts and minds of these Vietnam veterans would be together again. A hug and handshake were extra special on this first homecoming day.
Here's Fuller! Here's Fuller!
From behind, time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
This weekend, the heroes of Apache Troop talked and shared their thoughts. They were honest with each other, here to reflect on moments they could or would not share for so long. Some wondered if they should even come to the reunion. Could this all hurt too much? But as one veteran said, the commitment they all made to each other years ago in Vietnam was still very strong today.
It's just a tremendous feeling. It's really difficult to describe. These guys were a big part, each of us were a big part of each other's life for so long, and in such an intense way that it's an overwhelming thing.
I was so apprehensive about coming here to begin with. And in fact, it's something I probably really needed. In fact, I know I needed, and I think it's something a lot of the rest of them really needed. And I haven't talked to any of them yet that haven't had a problem since I left there.
30 men from the troop came together, all the way from Hawaii, Virginia, New York, and Seattle. In the war, they called each other the Kid, Mini-Mac, Ham, Doc, Bloody Bart, and Old Blue. Even their leader, General Paul Funk, flew in just because he knew he needed to be there.
Nice to see you. Really nice.
Hi, Bloody Bart.
Well, everybody's here.
That's great.
God dang, Dennis, Jim.
They spent hours reminiscing, looking at old photo albums, remembering the good and the bad. For some, it was like reliving parts of the war all over again.
Crashed and burned, and I slung him out, and he was nothing but, I can remember his thigh bone sticking out of the bag. Oh, it was terrible. He was terrible.
Cobras went right on him. We had artillery on us. They're pounding them. We come back, and we're still receiving fire.
And in that unpopular war, the Apache troop was in the thick of it. Some of these men were chopper pilots, co-pilots, and door gunners. They flew low, really bait for the enemy. They knew each morning it could be their last flight up. One vet called it flying into hell. They were shot at, shot up, and shot down. But they were young boys who would quickly grow up in a place called Vietnam. They left their families, sweethearts, and GTOs back in the States. Together, they helped each other survive. One of the vets at the reunion is Bill McIntosh, a chopper pilot shot down 6 times in Vietnam. He left the war with a chest full of medals. But recently, this real estate broker from Seattle has been reliving the war. He is now getting counseling. The nightmares are back again. He wonders if the war will ever go away for him, but he calls this reunion the best therapy he's had. He's been able to see one of his best friends, Ham, his chopper partner in Vietnam. This Hawaiian building contractor is called Hero because twice he recovered a helicopter at treetop level when the pilot sitting next to him was shot. So Bill and Ham came here to say hello for the first time in nearly 2 decades. They came to remember what it was like to fight for their lives.
We had an attitude of, hey, if we die, we die. we weren't scared then. I got scared later.
I got to the point like you're not scared.
Yeah.
You become tired.
Yeah.
And your attitude changes to like, maybe I'll get lucky today. Maybe I'll die.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do this shit anymore, man. Maybe I'll die today. I don't have to do this tomorrow.
We went over there and fought a war that maybe wasn't a popular war. Maybe wasn't something that everybody believed in. But it's something that we as Americans were asked to do, and we did it. Guys like this did it. And we won our war. They might have lost Vietnam, but we won our war. Because they would never turn us loose to do what we wanted to do. We just want you to know that we went and did what the guys in World War II did, the guys in Korea did, the guys in World War I did. I mean, we might have came in heroes, but we never felt like we were heroes. We felt like we were outcasts. We were shoved aside. And then all of a sudden one day somebody said, hey, wait a minute, we've shoved the Vietnam veterans aside. And they said, oh, well, we ought to do something about that. And then they started having all these parades and these marches, you know, welcome home. I had a guy 16 and a half years later come to my house and say, I came here to say, welcome home, because you're a vet. And shook my hand. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. We've been home. We don't want them to come back now because of the guilt they feel because of the way they treated us. Now what we want is to be left alone with our memories and to go on with our lives.
Blood was like bubbling out of my mouth in little, you know, like almost like foam, but bubbles, you know, like maybe an eighth of an inch. And
Mark Forget was another pilot, highly decorated, shot down and nearly left for dead. The last he remembers, the helicopter went into a tailspin, crashing into the jungle. His body was a pile of broken bones.
And I thought that I was going to die. I mean, I thought I was going to die. First of all, I thought I was going to die when I went to Vietnam. I didn't expect ever to come out of that place. And so it was real easy for me. I wanted to kill myself at that point, and I tried to. I reached for my pistol, which I wore normally between my legs. And I couldn't reach, because when I tried to get up, both bones of this arm just stuck right into the dirt. And I was just in so much pain, I just passed out again.
But this veteran now opposes the whole idea of war. He says he went into Vietnam ready to fight. Now he says he would be one of the first to protest the war.
War is hideous. It's not a solution. War should not be a solution. It should be a very last resort. Why would you resort to war if there's any other alternative?
The veterans here talked often about the tight unit, the closeness all these men shared in Vietnam. And after nearly 2 decades, the companionship was still vivid in their minds.
The people that are no longer with us, I think, draw us together even closer than we were before.
It's a family reunion. It's the long-lost brother come home. There hasn't been many times they haven't thought about it.
I have more closeness to these people than I have to my own family. Because I know where I go, whatever, they come and get me, man.
The vets repeatedly mentioned the names of men who had died next to them in the war, and those friends who took their own lives back in the States after the war. It would be at this reunion where they would all be remembered.
Chris Gino,
Steve Young,
George Sly,
Young,
Richard
anybody
Bloor,
who died over there.
Gary Coletta.
They gave their life for us.
Yeah. God bless them. All the rest of them that got wounded doing it.
Everybody that died in Vietnam.
Everybody.
You bet.
58,000 some Americans
Anybody.
and millions of Vietnamese people.
Here. Here.
The battle stories ended as General Funk thanked them for their sacrifice.
You know, we all counted for something out there. And we counted because we left a lot of guys over there, their blood anyhow. And that counts. But I just tell you that somehow, somewhere, there's a reward for anybody that went and served his country in a lousy war, despite being spit on and everything else. And I'll just tell you, I'm proud to be here with you. God bless you all, and thanks a lot.
Well, now we need to remember the future. We need to remember going back to ourselves and finding our families and each other. And that's why this whole thing is great. I remember so much more now than I ever did before, just because now I've seen you guys. And I know that the feeling is still there. I no longer have to be afraid.
All right, give me some cover.
The challenges these men face daily are documented. National news crews followed some of the unit's infantrymen, the Blue Platoon, telling of their day-to-day struggle to survive.
Then there's Lieutenant Hughley. Everybody calls him Blue. That's his radio call. Blue didn't want to come to Vietnam, and he'd much rather be a businessman than a soldier. But right now, he's in charge of the lives of 21 men.
And Jack Hughley today, a Houston businessman.
Nobody really wanted to be there. Everyone was apprehensive about what would happen to them, fear. And a lot of people still carry those wounds. But you know, I think these guys here are really the true Americans.
Nobody talks, so you start thinking. Specialist 4 Duane Bloor is thinking he's going to meet his fiancée in Honolulu in 2 weeks, and he will show her the silver star the general pinned on him yesterday.
Duane Bloor, today a Wisconsin truck driver.
There isn't anyone going to tell me that we was over there for no reason at all, and then a lot of our friends were crippled or killed, and I felt we was there for a reason, and I still do.
And at this reunion, Bloor and others featured in the news clip reflected on the experience of war.
I would go again, I would, because I feel like that I live in this country and I enjoy the benefits of this country. Therefore, if I'm called on by this country, I should serve this country. That's the way I felt about it then. Still feel the same.
I feel a sense of waste more than anything else when I think about it. And after I think about the waste, because I keep thinking back to that famous photograph when Saigon went under in a matter of months after we pulled out, and all those millions of people trying to pile on that one helicopter to get out. I don't know what we accomplished. I feel a sense of waste, and then I kind of feel a sense of anger. After the waste goes away, and then I feel anger. And I don't know why in the hell all those people really did die.
And a railroad engineer from Whitefish, Montana wonders too about the Vietnam War, the gains, the losses. John Bartlett is a recovering alcoholic, and while this reunion answered many questions for him, he was reminded how personal a war can be.
My dad walked into his dad's house after World War II, Christmas Eve of 1945. 25 years to the day, I walked into my dad's house from a foreign country, from a war, 25 years to the day after he came home. And my son is now 12. And I hope to God that he doesn't have to walk into my house. And if he does, that he is able to walk into my house 25 years to the day.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again.
The man behind the whole reunion is Art Dockter of Fargo, himself a veteran of Apache Troop. He started planning this 4 years ago, the calling, the letter writing, trying to find everyone. Some said no to the idea right away. The war had been too much and they wanted to put it all behind them. But Dockter finally made it work. They came here because, as one vet put it, we wanted to make sure everyone was just okay.
I think everybody was touched a little bit, some more than others. Hopefully, a lot of guys maybe that haven't talked for a number of years, all of a sudden, boy, we're rapping. Maybe this was a time that needed to clear things up and just settle a few issues that have been in their mind for a few years. You know, like 17 years is a long time to keep something on your chest or in your head. I think everybody got it out. Everybody did.
It was at a Sunday afternoon picnic where the men realized they didn't expect anything big from each other. Everyone counted here, including the wives.
It brings a lump in my throat to talk about it because it has been so special for my husband and for me too. The bond that all these men share is something that I don't think a person can understand unless they've gone through what they have.
My husband has had a tremendous time with this Vietnam thing. All of a sudden, it's like it finally hit him. In the past, years have finally caught up with him, and he did. He fell apart. He had a real breakdown. I knew that this was going to help, but I'm still scared. I still kind of wonder, if I'm going to make it back home with him or not. But I know he's doing good. All these guys, and the feeling. I mean, I feel that. I feel that with these guys. I feel that with the wives. It's like we've been friends, and we've been friends for a long time.
He said 3 times. He said, taking fire, like this, and then it was dead silence on the radio, and then Boyle came in with, oh my God, he just inverted.
Yeah. It was burning, okay. They tried to when they pulled him away, but he was shot after he had gotten out. He had survived the crash, and he was shot on the ground as he was pulling the pilot out. Of course, Bloor was dead at that point.
Even as the weekend wound down, the battle stories continued of tragedy and heroism. By Sunday, most of the Apache troop had to leave. The goodbyes hurt the most. While there are plans for another reunion soon, some knew this could be the last time they would see a buddy from the war. So with the reunion winding down, the stockbroker, railroad engineer, U.S. general, and mechanic, these survivors saying thank you and goodbye.
Elastic belt, Is it elastic your last? He's almost buried. Did you get too many apples?
It would be on a quiet lake in northern Minnesota where we would witness the final chapter of the Apache troop reunion. It was peaceful here, a perfect setting, a fitting ending for these veterans. It was time to reflect now, to stop for a moment and think about who they saw and what was said. For some, the war was finally over.
Are ready to cast off, Mac? Okay, I'm ready.
So during these last few hours of this homecoming, these men shared some special final moments together, and the reunion came as a reminder to us of how these men gave so much. These veterans who left the war and now this reunion, survivors and men of dignity.
Well, it was a weekend I won't ever forget. And it was easy to talk to everybody.
You know what it was really easy to do? It was easy to take a look at everybody and say, okay, now it's okay. We're home. Now it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get a little deeper.
Well, me to you, man. Thanks.
You bet.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. Yeah, no problem. I'm just glad everybody came. Everybody came.
No problem.
It just took my calling, you know, and that was nothing. Because I didn't have any hesitation. Once you guys said you were coming, you were committed yourself, and I felt at ease because I got you to say yes.
Yeah.
After that, I just waited.
Well, in a couple hours, I'm going to have to say goodbye to everybody and get in my car and drive off. That's probably going to be...
Well, it won't be... Since we've seen everybody else off, it was kind of bad to start to see them go, and then you kind of realize that it's sad in a way because it was too short, but in a way we just got something to look forward to next time.
Yeah, it was way too short.
Yeah. Yeah. All doubts have been eliminated for the people that came. Like when we leave here, it's back to the world. It's back to the, whoa. Back to the real world. The real world.
This is the fun world now.
This is it. It was pretend for a while.
This makes the real world a lot easier to take.
Back over.